Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to today's edition of Talking Politics, or should I say, Who's Hiding What? My name is Robert Press, as you can see on my official New York City press cards. I also write for the Bronx, or I should say I write for the Bronx Chronicle. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and the Parkchester Times. The Parkchester Times, like this show, is owned by Muslim Media Corporation. The opinions on this show is that of the host, any guest, or commentator that you may see come across the bottom of the screen. It is their own opinions and not necessarily that of Muslim Media. Before I begin the show, I must wish my producer, Mr. MUTIU, and I'm not going to say your last name, unfortunately, MUTIU, because I don't want to butcher it, as yesterday was MUTIU's birthday, so happy birthday, MUTIU. Now, let's get right into the weather. Today is a beautiful day. It's a short sleeve day. We're currently experiencing a rather warm temperature for this time of the year. Today, it should top off at about 65 degrees, with rain coming in around midnight going into Saturday morning. Saturday's high temperature is not expected to go higher than 55, meaning you're going to be feeling a lot colder tomorrow since the drop will be 10 degrees. Sunday is clear, but the temperature is not expected to go over 50. Monday is expected to be even cooler in the upper 40s. Clouds coming in Tuesday and Wednesday with a clear, cool Thanksgiving on Thursday. President Biden just signed a short-term funding bill that will keep the government open and operating until early 2024, ahead of tonight's deadline. There was a deadline tonight of the budget extension, and luckily no one pulled the fire alarm, so everybody got to sign, to vote. And the bill, known as Continuing Resolution, extends the funding for the Department of Transportation, Housing and Urban Development, Energy, Veterans Affairs until January 19th. While other government entities are funded through February 2nd. This extended does not include any supplemental funding for Israel or Ukraine. The House and Senate passed a short-term fix, with House Republicans unable to reach an internal agreement on a longer-term individual appropriation bill. The bill passed the Senate by a vote of 87-11, with only one Democratic senator, Michael Bennett of Colorado, voting against the measure. It passed the House 336-95, with more Democrats supporting this bill than Republicans. This clears the holiday calendar for Congress, which is often fighting over government funding in the days leading up to the holidays. But next year there's going to be election battles. So if Congress can't come to agreement, we'll get to that later on that. Okay, Congress can't come to agreement on long-term funding. By next year, there's going to be problems during the election. House Majority Leader Hakeem Jeffries originally called the two-step plan a non-starter, but later Democrats supported it, giving it exclusion of spending cuts and extreme right-wing riders. All but two Democrats voted to pass the measure, while dozens of Republicans opposed it. On to a hot story. George Santos. After the end of a months-long investigation, the Health Ethics Committee has concluded that there was substantial evidence that George Santos violated federal criminal laws in a damning report. The commission wrote, Representative Santos sought fraudulently exploit every aspect of his House candidacy for his own financial profit. He blatantly stole from his campaign. He deceived donors into what they thought were contributions to his campaign that were, in fact, payments to his personal benefit. Santos disagreed with the committee's conclusion in a posting on X, which is the old Twitter. He said, if there was a single ounce of ethics in the Ethics Committee, they would not have released this biased report. He added, I will, however, not be seeking re-election for a second term in 2024, as my family deserves better than to be under the gun from the press all the time. Thank you, George Santos. Now, there may be a move. There was a move previously to expel him, which resulted in a 179 to 213 vote, which a two-thirds majority is needed. Representatives Anthony D'Esposito, Nick Lalotta, Mike Lawler, and Mark Marcellano, and Brandon Williams were behind that push, and it is believed that they might try it again. We wrote a post. The bipartisan ethics committee confirmed what most New Yorkers knew months ago. George Santos is a total fraud who stole an election to get it into Congress. The House must use our constitutional expulsion powers. Congressman Milano wrote, as expected, this report confirms what we knew. George Santos is a fraud, committed fraud, and should not serve in the House of Representatives. This is why I call for his resignation, voted for his expulsion, and believe he needs to be removed from Congress. Now, candidates are lining up on both sides of the aisle, and even independents to run for soon-to-be former George Santos's congressional seat. Zach Malamed has dropped out as of November 8th. It is also expected that Nassau County leader Josh Lafazan will drop out because both should be expected to support former Representative Tom Suozzi, who will go for his old seat in Congress. Now, while we're talking about Congress, progressive Democrats who've condemned Israel over its war effort in Gaza are demanding that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries do more to protect them against primary challenges from pro-Israeli Democrats. 3 lawmakers who lead the Progressive Caucus PAC met with Jeffries and Representative Susan Delbini, who is from Washington, the head of the Democrats' campaign arm. They told the Democratic leader he needs to keep the influential American Israeli Public Affairs Committee out of Democratic primaries. In fact, the progressive leaders argued Democrats' efforts to recapture the House next year might depend on it. We have to spend a lot of money on to keep our incumbents in office, and then there's less money that gets spent on frontline districts and districts we can pick up. So it's a real problem, said Representative Pramila Jayapal, a co-chair of the PAC. That's why it's really important to be clear that AIPAC is that they need to stand down and that we are going to vigorously defend our members. The Israel-Hamas war is forcing Jeffries to now navigate a treacherous divide between pro-Israel and pro-Palestine members, just as he's gearing up for a battle to retake the chamber next year, the House, that is. Jeffries has commented his party will support re-electing incumbents, including those who've been harshly criticized over Israel and its response to the Hamas attack last month. His vow comes as several of them, including Representatives Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush, have drawn primary opponents backed by the deep-pocketed groups aligned with Israel. Jeffries heard out the progressive concerns about AIPAC. Democratic Party divisions on the Israel-Hamas conflict are reverberating throughout the party. Representative Jamie Raskin, who is one of the co-chairs of the Progressive PAC, was apparently delayed to this meeting because there was a protest in front of his house is an example of how politics for pro-Israeli progressives have been complicated by the outbreak of violence in Israel. It was called by Representative Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez, who represents us here in the Bronx, lower part of the Bronx of Queens, said in a brief interview, with the highly radicalized targeting of many of these members, we absolutely need leadership and would defend our members over that. It is expected that Jamal Bowman will be getting a primary challenge from Westchester County Executive. And where is he? George Latimer. There it is. Okay. I'm just reading up and down the page. That's why. I'm sorry about that. And the progressive Democrats are worried because I would put money on Just like I put money on this last election about the council race that Marjorie Velazquez would lose, I would put money on that George Latimer will beat Jamal Bowman in a race. Now, on to something that Governor Hochul has done. Governor Hochul has expanded economic opportunity for New Yorkers, protecting public safety by signing the Clean Slate Act. Governor Hochul signed the Clean Slate Act, which allows certain criminal records to be sealed after years. And if an individual is sentenced or released from incarceration, if that individual is not subsequently convicted of additional criminal acts. Following their release from any incarceration, records of individuals with eligible misdemeanor convictions will be sealed after 3 years, and those with certain felony convictions after 8 years. The Clean Slate Act will not seal the records of individuals convicted of sex crimes, murder, or other non-drug Class A felonies. Law enforcement, prosecutors, New York State Education Department, the courts, and other groups will continue to have access to all criminal records under this law. The best crime-fighting tool is a good-paying job. That's why I support giving New Yorkers a clean slate after they paid their debt to society and have gone years without additional offense, Governor Hochul said. I negotiated a compromise that protects public safety and boosts economic opportunity. The final clean slate law will help New Yorkers access jobs while allowing police, prosecutors, and schools to protect their communities. As our state faces a worker shortage with more than 450 job openings right now, this new law will help businesses find more people, more workers who will help the government, the economy grow and expand and thrive. New York becomes the 12th state to enact the Clean Slate law. Okay, moving on. Attorney General James is suing PepsiCo. She has taken historic actions against PepsiCo for endangering the environment and public health with plastic pollution. That's a good question. That is a great question that's up here on the screen. Will Christy Maramato nominate you for the community board? She does get to a point, and you've had her a few times. That's a good question. We're going to have to see. But you know what? The final say on that is Borough President Vanessa Gibson. And I really don't think Vanessa Gibson would appoint me, even if Christy Maramato puts me up for appointment to Community Board 11. Okay? And I'm going to get into it a little later as to why the FOIL has been done. Okay? So we're going to get into that later. So Attorney General James has filed a historic and groundbreaking lawsuit against PepsiCo, claiming that they have polluted the waters by Buffalo, yet the company says they have not really done anything. Attorney General James has said that they conducted a survey of types of waste collected at 13 sites along the Buffalo River and found that PepsiCo's single-use packaging was most significant. Of the 1,916 pieces of plastic trash collected with an identifiable brand, over 17% was PepsiCo. PepsiCo's plastic packaging far exceeds any other source of identifiable plastic waste along the river, and it was 3 times more abundant than the next highest contributor. The Adams scandal seems to be getting a little bigger as far as the Turkish consulate. And before I get into that, let me go right now to a commercial break if my producer is ready. So we'll get back to the FDNY after the commercial break.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Well, okay, getting into this Turkish consulate and the FDNY, it appears that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has interviewed several former and current FDNY chiefs. They want to know why this Turkish consulate got preferred, that they got the approval for a CO more quickly than anyone else. The politicians say, Mayor Adams says, well, I just made a text to the Commissioner Nigro. Mayor Bill de Blasio, was the mayor at the time. And I agree with Mayor Adams right now. Bill de Blasio was the mayor. So if they should be investigating anybody, it should be Bill de Blasio. However, if Borough President Adams did try anything, it should be investigated. So let's go to the budget cuts that Mayor Adams has proposed. Where are these budget cuts going to be and how are they going to affect? We have a budget cut of 5% that Mayor Adams has proposed right now. 5% more on January 1st and 5% more in May. Mayor Adams says it is tough, but because of the situation we are in, we must do what we have to since we are not getting the help we need from the federal government and the state. What may happen is the next 5 classes at the police academy may be cut, where there currently are 33,135 police officers. Since there won't be any new police officers coming in, the force may dwindle down to under 30,000 if no police officers are hired to replace retiring police officers, which should increase because the stress on the police officers will say, I'm not sticking around. I'm going to retire and go somewhere else. $5.5 million in cuts to the sanitation department, which could mean less trash pickup and less street sweeping. Public libraries will have to cut some services. The Department of Education will have to cut pre-K and 3K, not completely out, but cuts to it, as well as cuts to after-school program and its large summer school program. Gee, why does the Department of Education have such a large summer school program? Why can't they get students to pass during the school year so then that way they wouldn't need a summer school program? Okay, citywide, there are 37,000 vacancies, which may not be filled in a cost-cutting effort, and it is now up to the city council to find any resources that the city can get through this situation. One question that should be asked, should New York City remain a sanctuary city? And I am sure there will be plenty of debates in the new city council starting January 2nd. Public Advocate Williams made a statement on the FY24 budget modifications. Yesterday, the mayor celebrated an increase in public school enrollment driven primarily by migrant families who have come to our city seeking asylum as a sign New York is back. Today, he releases a budget that slashes public education funding along with services throughout the city and casts blame on the arrival of those families, justifying cuts that will harm all New Yorkers by pointing to the most vulnerable. This repeated strategy by the administration pits the New Yorkers who have less against the New Yorkers who have least, and it is irresponsible messaging in government. Every time the city has faced a challenge in the last 2 years, the answer from the administration has been to cut, blaming financial woes sorely on the asylum crisis. Even though truthfully has absolutely impacted our budget, it only explains a portion of a shortfall we anticipated long before the first buses arrived. And I mean, you have to agree with Public Advocate Williams on a point, but I'm going to go into one final thing before I get into my foil of Community Board 11 applications. It appears that the Justice Department has an agreement with the New York City healthcare system to resolve allegations of employee discrimination. The Justice Department announced yesterday that it has secured settlement with the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, which provides a healthcare service to more than 1 million New Yorkers. The agreement resolves the Department's determination that New York NYC HHC violated anti-discrimination provision of the Immigration and Naturality Act, INA, when it rejected a worker's valid work authorization document based on the worker's national origin. Employees cannot reject valid documents showing someone's permission to work based on the country the person was born in, said Assistant Attorney General Christian Clark of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Federal civil rights laws protect workers from discrimination that can occur when employees are checking their permission to work. Now, the city of New York also has just passed a law exactly like this. It's amazing that the New York City Health and Hospitals can do whatever they want because they are a quasi-state agency. So they are not governed by the city of New York. They are a state agency that was formed because the city needed to organize its health and hospitals. Just like the School Construction Authority was formed by the state to replace the New York City School Construction Authority that was rife with corruption. However, most of the people that were hired for the New York State Construction Authority were people from the New York City Construction Authority. But okay, let's get to my foil, which is a Freedom of Information letter to Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson, requesting to view the applications of all 44 current Community Board 11 members, including video interviews of this year's appointments, and text messages and other notes that were used in the selection process, is causing a problem for Bronx Borough President Gibson and apparently 2 members of Community Board 11. There is a stream on the Citizens of Community Board 11 Facebook page, which now has over 140 comments from last week's show. And it appears that 2 Community Board 11 members, Malcolm Gray and Christine Culpepper, have written the majority of these comments, who want to know why I have requested the information on the Citizens of Community Board 11 page. Now, board member Phyllis Nastasio writes, CB apps are not available. Something stinks big time. Board member Christine Culpepper and board member Phyllis Nastasio exchanged comments as to why I might want the applications to members. Member Nastasio replying at one point, she does not know why I want the applications. And I want to thank board member Nastasio. No, none of you are going to know why I want these applications. At one point, board member Malcolm Gray comes in saying various things, such as Christine Culpepper. He says there was a video and a video recording of the interview. Maybe it was me, but I don't recall there being a video recording. And there wasn't for you, Malcolm Gray, because you were appointed 2 years ago, where board member Nastasio says there would. Her appointment was that when she was appointed 3 years ago, she was just a phone interview. This time last year, it was a Zoom interview, which she believed was recorded. Board member Gray asked her specifically, tell you that Zoom calls were recorded, to which the reply is yes. Now, I applied to Community Board 11 last year, and I was given a video interview, and I was told it was being recorded. So I'd like to view the video recordings of those Community Board members that were put on this year, as well as the applications of all 44 members. Now, continuing on the Citizens of Community Board 11 Facebook page, Malcolm Gray states the following, but can we cut to the chase here? This dude served on Community Board 8, apparently got removed for doing unethical things on that board, and is demanding he get appointed to other boards. If we're looking at this from the realm of real life, very rarely will you be rehired at a job you got fired from. To expect that is insanity. My answer to Malcolm Gray on that is, this is the minutes of the Law, Rules, and Ethics Committee of Community Board 11. It is dated January 26, 2016, and I will quote number 10, new business. Following FOIL request to Community Board 2, Mr. Press wanted the committee to be aware that he felt threatened about his possible reappointment to the board. And I will go further that this is the minutes of the executive board meeting. It is page 6, Mr. Gray, February 3, 2016. Issues raised by committee members for discussion. Yes, I was the budget chair and I sat on the executive committee. I wouldn't have been the budget chair if I was unethical and committed fraud or whatever you say, Mr. Gray. Now, Bob Press reported that he gave a letter to Community Board 2 requesting information. As a result of this letter, he received 2 threats from members of the Bronx Democratic County Organization informing him to be careful. He is up for reappointment. But Mr. Press wanted this noted in the minutes. Okay? And again, I would not have been a vice chair of 2 committees and elected chair of the budget committee and renominated to that position if I had done anything unethical. I was not fired from Community Board 8. As I read, it was politics, Mr. Gray, that got me removed, or not reappointed, I should say. It was politics as to why I was not reappointed. Your statement I read about me has violated Community Board's 11's Code of Conduct, where it states, refrain from unpleasant or disparaging remarks or other actions, and disseminating false information is prohibited. As I mentioned at last night's leadership committee meeting, that Mr. Gray has made disparaging remarks and has disseminated false information. I am now weighing my options and want to see if Bronx Borough President Gibson is going to do anything first, or I will take my legal options since your comments appeared on a Community Board 11 approved Facebook page. Now, there seems to be problems with Community Board 11. They have a bank account, Friends of Community Board 11, and it's used for things. I think the Department of Investigation should investigate the entire Community Board. It said that members, and this is the reason I'm foiling the application from Mr. Gray and Ms. Culpepper. I've been told that some of the members might not have been eligible to sit on Community Board 11, that they lived outside the area. We saw that Ms. Diana Finch questioned the residency of Rabbi Fuchs, who is a Community Board member for I don't know how long, but as long as he has a vested interest, his synagogue, in Community Board 11, he is allowed to sit on community boards. Yes, they are apolitical and they are closely linked to the Bronx Democratic Party. You're right on that. And my appointment to Community Board 8 was by Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz. No, I have not confirmed that Mr. D'Angelo has violated the bylaws. He did not go after any member of Community Board 11. It was just a general statement, Mr. Kevin. Okay, so let's leave it at that. I can go a little further and claim that Mr. Gray is not even the legitimate sergeant of arms, because the changing of the bylaws has to appear in the written version of the notice of the meeting, which it did not. So I believe that Mr. Gray is not the sergeant of arms, and that Earl Serkridge, who was the other nominee and was an appropriate candidate, is the or should be the sergeant of arms. That may be brought up at a later time. Okay. Now that we're ending the show, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and that there will be no show next week, the day after Thanksgiving, as I will be on vacation. I will come back in 2 weeks, and I want to thank you for watching. And once again, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us.